Why didn't Barca complete the comeback against Atletico Madrid yesterday? There's a lot of talking points about this game. But if we start with the lineups, we've got Joan Garcia. Flick opted for Cancelo at left back. And Cancelo starting this game was a very smart move by Flick because Atleti were always going to sit in a deep block. And Cancelo is the only fullback Barca have that has ability on the ball against deep blocks. So that was a good move from Flick, and Cancelo had a great game. Gerard Martin at center back, of course. Eric Garcia is suspended for this game. Kubarsi at center back, Koundé at right back, Bernal and Pedri in the pivot, Rafinha left wing, Fermin at 10, Yamal right wing, of course, and Ferran Torres striker. Now, oh, and by the way, Atleti started the exact same way. I'm pretty sure that they did in the first leg, but there was a lot of talk about Flick going for a false nine with Olmo starting this game. That would have been that was what everybody wanted, first of all. On Twitter especially, that's what everybody wanted. Olmo false nine, or at least everybody with a brain. Everybody wanted Olmo to start false nine. Would it have been more possible to start false nine Olmo if either De Jong or Gavi were available? Absolutely. With Fermin, it's not as possible, but it's still possible. And it's definitely better than what Ferran showed. But Flick opted for Torres at 9 and Fermin at 10. And ultimately, that's what stumped Barca's chances by a good amount. Now, if we go on a player-by-player basis, first of all, actually, look, this game was hyped up as the comeback game. There was a lot of hype behind it, and there was like, if you remember the PSG game that Barca came back from in the UCL tie in 2017, the reason why that was so such an event, basically, like one game was such an event, was because it was hyped up to be a comeback for Barcelona. Like it was a hyped up thing, and for since Barca lost the first leg 4-0, since then it was a hype. Like it was all hyped up. It was encouraged. There's a lot of words in the media about Barca will do it. There's a lot of positivity around Barcelona completing the comeback, and this was a similar case to this game. But yeah, if we go on a player-by-player basis, Joan Garcia had a pretty good game, made some very important saves for Barcelona in some very important moments. He had 2 saves, but, they were important saves. Cancelo at left back started well, had a very good game, but then once he went to right back, he was even more monstrous, and it also helped unlocking Yamal, giving Yamal more freedom. I don't know why he started Cancelo at left back. He should be playing right back, but whatever. Gerard Martin had a decent game, nothing crazy. Kubarsi had a monstrous game. Kubarsi had a monstrous game. Look at his defending over here. I mean, he won everything. 8 defensive contributions, 2 out of 2 tackles, one interception, 4 clearances, 1 block shot, 6 recoveries, 2 ground duels, 3 aerial duels, 1 last man tackle. Just a monstrous performance. And of course, on the ball as well, he had 128 touches and 95% pass accuracy. So he had an insane game, Kubarsi. And it was just immense from him. Koundé is pretty much null, his rating, because he didn't play enough. Pedri came back from injury, his first game starting, an insane game from him. And of course, he won the penalty at the end of the first half. An insane game. Pedri does not need De Jong to hold his hand. Pedri does not need a specific midfield to operate in, to have a good game. Maybe, for example, he's not a good 10. He's not going to be the best as a 10. He's not going to be the best as a single pivot. But just put him in his position, and he'll have a good game. Doesn't matter who's next to him, as opposed to other midfielders. Bernal had a monstrous game. People talk about his goals. Of course, his goals are the main thing. But he had a very good game outside of that. He was locking down Barca's midfield. And his archetype as a footballer, his build, his structure, and of course, on top of that, his ability on the ball. He is just monstrous, and this is him at 18 years old returning from an ACL injury. I know he's had a lot of time to ease back in, but the point is that at 18, after a big injury like that, he is playing monstrous, and he's been monstrous since he started getting consistent minutes. Rafinha did not have a good game. And this is the issue with Rafinha when overall in this system is that he has to stay at left wing. Flick likes giving Rafinha a lot of license to go as a 10, to go in the middle, to float to the right side and basically play on top of Lamine Yamal, in a lot of moments. Rafinha has to stay left wing because that's where he capitalizes on his abilities the most. He's not a player, he's not one of those Brazilians that has absolutely just insane technical ability and it's divine ability gifted to him on the ball, and he's some magical player. No, he has a skill sets. He has a skill set. He has his limits as well, and that's why if when he plays at left wing with a specific role, he plays even better. He was not good yesterday outside, and of course he scored the penalty, but not a good game outside of he will always give you the effort. He will always press like an animal, defend like an animal. Outside of that, did not have a good game. Fermin had a very bad game as well. Fermin is when it comes to midfield, he is not going to be really an asset in the midfield. And in the beginning of the game, there was a lot of balls that Barca was putting into the area that ended up being loose balls, and he should have been the one crashing the area late for those loose balls to at least try to get a goal in that situation, especially Fermin because his finishing is good. His shadow runs into the box are good. And also, I mean, that's what he usually does anyways. So I'm not sure why he wasn't doing that in the game early on. But when it comes to midfield, he did not have a good game. And, that was that. Yamal, of course, had an insane game. And, for the last, since really January, kind of, he's been really playing out of his mind. For outside of the goals and assists, he's been playing out of his mind. I mean, he just got past Ruggieri. He was getting past everybody, and he was just very focused in this game. 2 big chances created, 4 key passes. He had 104 touches, 14 dribbles completed, 311 meters of carrying distance, and then he had 14 ground duels, 1 and 7 recoveries. Like, he was just electric in the game. Of course, it was going to be difficult for him to get a goal because he is isolated and Atletico Madrid are playing such a deep block. But outside of that, he had an insane game. Ferran Torres. Should he have started this game? Absolutely not. Olmo had to start false 9 this game. And by the way, when it comes to Olmo false 9, Flick has only used that from the start of a game for an actual serious period of time in a game. He's used that once. It was last year in the Copa del Rey. I'm pretty sure it was Copa del Rey. Against Real Betis at home. Olmo played false 9, and Barcelona had an insane performance. They won 5-0, and it was pure liquid football. And since then, Flick has not used Olmo at false 9 since then. And I guess you can say this was a time to do it. Ferran Torres missed 3 big chances. So he missed 3 big chances that at the very least he should have scored 1 of. At the absolute very least, he should have scored 1 of. And outside of those missed chances, he offered absolutely nothing. He has very minimal, like as minimal as you can think of, like atomized level ability on the ball. Very little ability on the ball. And he just didn't offer Barca much. He wasn't pinning the center backs. He was not doing really anything except waiting for a ball in the box that he did not capitalize on. Almost starting at false 9 is a much more suited position for his role. He's at the best of 8s, especially when there's not a single pivot holding it down. As opposed to Spain where Rodri's holding it down and it gives Olmo more freedom. But as a false 9, when you have a team playing a low block and he has the ability on the ball to receive it well, turn well, and possibly win a penalty or just generate space in general, in those areas when it's compact, that's a perfect role for him, especially in this game. And he just should have started. And I'm not sure why Flick went for Torres. And in general, I'm not sure why Flick is so adamant on Torres, why he likes him so much. But it is what it is. Alejandro Balde came on, had a meh game, nothing special. I mean, meh on the ball. He is not good when it comes to getting past players in isolation. He's not good on, he's not the best of passes or getting balls into the area or crossing. But overall, I mean, he'll at least provide some physicality, some speed, and some width on the left flank. So that's what he's good at, but didn't have a good game. Ended up getting injured like Koundé. Rashford came on, and he should have came on and played in the middle. He played wide, and he was too isolated. His skill set is not made for that. He's not a good player in isolation, and he really didn't do anything. Olmo came on, didn't really do much. I mean, he came on as basically a center, a 10, a center mid. So, didn't really do much either. Should have started false 9. Araujo came on as striker and really didn't do much. He only had 2 touches. So, he was just there trying to be a reference point, but he didn't really do much. And that was that. I think it would have been better if he played center back and provided Barca more strength, allowing the team to go forward more. But, whatever. Was this comeback a possibility? Absolutely. They got to 3-0. Atletico Madrid were not looking to play football. Typical. And Barca could have very easily scored 6 if Olmo started, or if Barca had Lewandowski, or if Barca had a serious striker. Let's say they had Osimhen. Let's say they had Haaland. Just a serious striker. Barca could have very easily scored 5 or 6 goals in this game, but it didn't happen. So is a comeback a possibility? Absolutely. But the reason why it didn't happen for the main part is the primary reason is a lack of finishing chances. Of course, the first leg matters. Of course, the first leg matters, and how poor Barca were in that leg. Barca's performance was a main factor of that. Were there other factors in that game? Absolutely. I mean, the field was diabolical. Barca should have had that goal not disallowed. But outside of that, Barca had one of the worst performances ever. And in this game, they had one of the best performances I've seen from Barcelona in such a long time. And my question is, maybe to not to this extent for the entirety of the game, because the players now are dead. They're dead tired after this game. Koundé and Balde got injured, for a game that ended up getting them knocked out anyways. So, you can say that it was a great performance. It was one of the best performances that we've had, but where is it? Where's the rest of where's all of this in the first leg? Where's all of this in the other big games? Where's all this on a consistent basis? Where is it? And I know it's not going to be possible to do on a consistent basis across 90 minutes every single game because of how intense the game and Barca were, but at least maintain a consistent level of it and to a degree. But let's see if Barca can maintain this level for the rest of the second half of the season, because if that's the case, then they do have a serious shot of winning the Champions League and securing La Liga. But overall, a lot of players, and regardless of the result, a lot of players can hold their head up high. Cancelo, Jean Garcia, Cubarsí, Pedri, Yamal, Bernal, they can all hold their head up very high because they did everything they can. And, a lot of these players played through fatigue. A lot of them played through, injuries because they just came back from injury. And, Barca had both their starting fullbacks injured in this game with the same injury. They'd both be out for a month. So, yeah, I mean, it was a very close, call, you can say, for Atleti, because Barca almost made the comeback. But, it is what it is. End of the day, it was the lack of finishing and the diabolical first leg that got Barca eliminated out of this tournament. And that's it. That's a treble done for this season. Barca cannot win the treble anymore this season. And let's see, they're gonna have to focus on the UCL and La Liga, and let's see how they can do. But yeah, I mean, this is one of the games where I was actually, once again, since I stopped being emotionally attached, actually, hoping Barca genuinely wins. Like, I was actually watching on the edge of my seat. But yeah, I mean, look, at the very least, the players tried. Did it come to the detriment of some of the players? Some injuries, yes. But now at least we've seen what Barca can do when Pedri is available, when Rafinha is there with the pressing, even though he had a bad game, when Yamal is on it, when Cubarsí is on it, when the players, for the most part, are on it. So let's see how they do in the rest of the season. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you in the next video.